Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our live stream. Intelligence and Understanding reveals your true self. Intelligence is science, discerning the spiritual fact of whatever the material senses behold. This means that what you sense is the spiritual fact, the sensing, the idea, not a belief about the idea. The human belief, like a ghost, cannot be seen, heard, not felt. Intelligence in freeing humanity from ignorance and superstition and giving it its God, its infinity of good, its substance, naturally frees it from worry and fear. You must not think of yourself as growing in developing intelligence or as becoming good, kind, and moral. The goodness, kindness, morality is love appearing in human thought, our intelligence and understanding revealing your true self, and disposing of the lies about yourself. In other words, in the light of intelligence, you disappear as a suiciding mortal, and your personality gives place to your individuality. And in this transformation, it may not look as if you've changed perceptibly, but do not be fooled. You are a new being. And all of that is from Margaret Laird, What is the Idea? Which is the pamphlet that we have been working from. Welcome, Betty. Anything you want to add to that? How you want to set the stage?
Nope. I think that said it pretty well. But,
Okay.
you know, the thing we forget, and we can say these words, but in everyday living, we want to be present to the fact that there is a Betty because there's a divinity present.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Kim because there's a divinity present.
Right.
So if I mistakenly attribute whatever to Betty, it has limited value, if any at all.
Right.
When I can be present to the idea, knowing that the idea is what has me present.
Mm-hmm.
A whole different experience of living.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you this. When we talk about intelligence and understanding, where does intuition fall into that? Or
well, intuition is what's present when you get yourself out of the way. Because wholeness, perfection, divine love, all of the God idea in action attributes are present. And we're blinded by the view that what's present is Betty.
Mm-hmm.
So when I can get Betty out of the way, the God idea in all of its ramifications is the presence seen, heard, and felt.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I don't have to do anything to the picture to have that be true. That's already true. It's like it gets interrupted by the intrusion of a belief that there's a Betty that knows this, that, or something else.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. So let's just dive right in. And what is the idea? On page 58 and 59, Margaret Laird wrote, rebirth is the discovery of true selfhood, the discovery of the divinity of humanity.
Yeah, and that's a rebirth, a new self. So when does rebirth occur? Like that all the time. One snap, one after the other. Just
well, why would it be rebirth? Wouldn't it just be birth and birth, 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 birth?
Well, repetitious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a continuity of idea occurring.
Okay.
And it's not personal. It doesn't belong to anybody.
Right. Right.
Martin used to say it's all in the public domain.
Ideas are all in the public domain.
Yeah.
All right. And the spiritual is the material. In other words, without the spiritual, there is no material. It's the substance of all of it.
Well, I think of Mrs. Eddy's statement, the Christianly scientific real is the material unreal.
The sensuous unreal.
Yeah.
That we have that one later on in here. You're spilling the beans.
Oh, okay.
All right. In Science and Health, here we go. On page 353, line 1, the Christian scientific real is the sensuous unreal.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just one ahead. Anyways, but
No.
what we're talking about is is intelligence and understanding. And in lots of ways, that is what is going to get you out of the way in terms of your druthers, is it not?
Yeah, unless you're determined to make yourself an understander and struggle with it.
Okay.
If you get Betty out of the way, understanding is the presence that you're calling Betty.
Right.
It's not, Betty is not something that's going to acquire understanding.
Right.
Understanding constitutes man because it's the presence of mind action.
Right.
Man is mind action, God action.
Right. Okay. All right. And when we learn that error is not real, we shall be ready for progress. So say more about that. What is all this stuff about error?
Well, you stub your toe.
Right.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Terrible. Hurts. Oh my. It doesn't need to hurt. There's nothing about your toe that can say, I hurt. What says that? The belief that you're a two-legged animal. Belief that Betty is the one that has something going on.
Right.
Instead of it's a language view of divine being.
Right.
So there's nothing about a toe that can hurt. It's the belief that Betty has a toe that hurts.
Okay.
System.
Okay. So what we're looking at is all of that stuff that's a belief system or the way it looks in our point of view and everything else is what would be called
that would
be called error.
Well, it's error in the sense that it is not an accurate statement. It's simply the best view you've got at the moment of what's present.
Right. Okay.
God being is the presence. All is infinite mind is the presence.
Right.
Only one thing going on is the presence.
Right.
And
right. I just wanted to make sure I understood how we're saying error when we learn that error is not real. It's kind of like when we learn that the point of view that I'm seeing is just a point of view.
Right.
And whatever meaning it has, I'm giving it.
Mm-hmm. And the only reason we use the word error is because in the day that Mrs. Eddy wrote her books, error was the only way she had to explain what she was talking about.
Okay.
We hardly ever use the word anymore.
Right. So when we see that, we just know, oh, that's just something that is seen, feel, hear, taste, touch in the world of language.
It's a point of view.
Back in Mary Baker Eddy's day would be called error.
Yep.
Okay, got it. All right. Excellent. Good to know. All right. And then in your book, On Mind as the Athlete, on page 141, you wrote, our exploration of the nature of being involves an examination of our God concept and is wholly mental.
Yep. If we have this fixation as human beings that there is a physical and a mental, and that one is separate from the other.
Right.
And we think one is real and one is unreal. There's only one thing going on. All is infinite mind. How I see it is up to me. I can have it look like 1,000 things. Doesn't mean that it is 1,000 things. It means that's where I'm out fishing.
Right. Right.
There's just one thing going on ever.
Okay. And this is how it looks. And in fact, this is the way it's got to look for me.
The only way
that's the only way I can see it. That's what I'm saying. It's got to look this way until it doesn't look this way anymore.
But the way it looks is not the way it is.
Right.
So I don't have to have it mean anything.
Right.
Like, oh dear, this is terrible. Or, oh, isn't that lovely?
Right.
It's neither one.
Right.
It's just God being.
Right. So you can let go of all your negative self-talk.
Or positive.
That's right. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Treat the two imposters just the same.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Now, in What is the Idea on page 59, Margaret Laird wrote, the idea is the thing, the functionality, the functional entity that is seen, heard, and felt. So it is the language we are discussing here, the paradox world.
Well, what it is idea.
Right.
We think it's a shoe or a
Right.
word or a presidential debate or you name it. We
Right.
think the Supreme Court, whether we like it or not.
Right.
It's not. What you have is one mind present, and all the possible ways it can look are belief systems.
Okay.
So if you're going to let the belief system run your world, be prepared for all the ups and downs. You know, it's not going to be a smooth ride. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Got it. Okay. All right. And disease is being promoted and prolonged by identifying the human concept as something in itself.
Yeah. The way I look, the language picture is not something in itself. It's a point of view.
Right.
What's present is reality.
Mm-hmm.
What's present is the God idea, functioning perfectly, whole, complete, joyous, free, right now, all the time.
And the more we can acknowledge that and we build an understanding of that.
We don't build an understanding of anything. That's a two-legged animal efforting.
Right.
The more
So
we let go of the belief that we are capable of understanding,
yeah.
the deeper the hole gets, unless you can let go of it.
Okay.
When you let go of it, it's all present right now.
Right.
All is free, whole.
So then intelligence and understanding are just grounds of being.
Intelligence and understanding are the presence of mind self-expressing.
Got it.
Not people struggling to acquire.
No, I understand that. I got that. And I got how what I said made it sound like something that it's not. I get that. So what I'm saying is, so what it is it's, say that again, what you said. It is intelligence and understanding are, because I said ground of being.
Idea.
The action of the God idea.
Yeah, it's mind in action. It's called understanding. Mind in action is called intelligence.
Got it.
Wisdom.
So the more we get out of the way and let it show up, that's revealing
the idea be.
Ourself.
Allow it to be all there is.
Yeah.
All is infinite mind, period.
Right. Okay.
Like functioning is man.
Yes. Got it. Okay. And in Science and Health on page 353, starting on line 28 and 29, the true idea of being is spiritual and immortal.
Yeah, the true idea of being. Yeah. Being, right. Being itself, being is spiritual and immortal.
Right. And it just, and this is how it looks, and this is how it looks, and this is how it looks, and it just keeps unfolding.
And the thing that we call mortal is language.
Right.
Maybe that's your point of view, but it doesn't make it that way. So you don't need to have that way that it looks mean anything.
Right.
The only thing that it ever could mean is reality is present.
Right.
Without reality present, there's no language.
Yes. Okay. And as in Mind is the Athlete on page 141, you wrote, consciousness is one universal presencing which manifests as many.
Yep.
So it's the look of many. That's infinity.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now, if those of you out there have any questions, please type them into the comments. If you have any questions about how we're unpacking this or you're not clear, okay? So type those into the comments. All right. What is assumed to be my conscious awareness and your conscious awareness is language defining the degree of ownership we accept of the world we are walking through.
Yep.
Okay. So it's how much of it are you willing to own?
Yep. It's either all or nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
I remember the exercise, an exercise at one point in a course that I was in, where it was like, well, this thing happened. Well, how much of it are you willing to own? None. Okay, is there anywhere in there that you could own any of that? Well, maybe this little piece. Okay, all right. So own that. Is there anything else in there that you could own? And of course, this went on for a while, and pretty soon the whole thing opened up that really could own the whole thing.
without you, there's nothing going on.
Right. But I'm just saying that it was like this whole process, because it was like all of the reasons, all the rationale, all of the stuff that looked like it's not me, it's not my fault, I didn't do this, this isn't me, I can't own this, all sort of fell away as
Well,
I kept looking.
you notice when you're busy denying yourself, what you're doing is putting it all over there.
Right.
That's the stuff that I'm not. Not
Right.
that, not that, not that, not that, not that.
Right.
And what is there but one thing going on?
Right.
And so you knot yourself out of business. You're just not present at all.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's good. All right. And then what is the idea on page 59? Margaret Laird wrote, intuitions are the spontaneous unfoldment of truth.
Yep.
And that's when you've got yourself out of the way, and it's just boom.
Yeah. And it's not the unfoldment of man.
Right.
Not the unfoldment of something I'm figuring out.
Right.
It's the unfoldment of truth. It's the God idea of self-expressing, constituting the thing I call man.
Right.
Yeah.
And if we're present, we'll be present so we can actually hear it or experience that intuition.
Yeah. Present is being the only thing going on.
Yeah.
Perfect, whole, complete, ground of perfection, present.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. The real comes to view when beliefs and theories about the real are not allowed to cloud vision.
Yep.
So the real, I love this. The real comes to view when beliefs and theories about the real are not allowed to cloud vision.
Yep. Very clear.
That's really clear. So let the beliefs, let the theories, let it all alone.
Yeah. Just say thank you for sharing.
Right.
And be present to being itself, looking like whatever it looks like.
Right.
When you can do that, whatever it looks like has no capacity to do anything but satisfy.
Right. Okay.
Because there's nothing left with action except the God idea. And the God idea constitutes it all.
Right.
And the acknowledgement of that is freedom.
Nice. Okay. In Science and Health, on page 353, line 28, Mary Baker Eddy wrote, mind is limitless. It never was material.
Yep.
So if you think your mind is contained right here, that would be the concept, not the
brain
reality.
action.
Right. Not the reality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else on that one?
I think it's really important to see that the only reason you have the appearance of a brain is because the language is a perception of reality.
Mm-hmm.
And intelligence, mind, is not visible. So we have to have it residing somewhere we can't see, feel, hear, taste, or touch.
Right.
And so when they get right down to operating and exposing this thing called the brain, it's no longer functionable.
Right.
Because by the time you fuss with it and get it opened up and look at it, there's nothing there that can function.
Right.
So it simply is an appearance of, or a language for, infinite intelligence constituting.
Right. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Okay. Beliefs can neither demonstrate Christianity nor apprehend the reality of life. Yeah, beliefs are just kind of worth the paper they're written on.
Well, yeah, belief doesn't have anything holding it up.
No, that's what I'm going to say. It's like it's not. And when you can see it and let it be, it'll let you be. It just goes.
Yep.
But if you hold on to it and you're going to espouse it and here you go, then you're stuck with all of whatever that is.
Right.
In the point of view.
Yep.
Okay. And in Mind is the Athlete on page 141, you wrote, consciousness, actively self-aware, is infinitely identified. So say more about that.
Well, consciousness, self-aware, constitutes all that is. All is consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no conscious of. There's only consciousness.
Right.
So it's a self-aware perfection, presencing. And I call it the world I walk through. I call it me and everything going on about me.
Right.
I mislead myself when I think the thing in the mirror is me.
Right.
I have to be willing to let the puppets perform on the stage with no energy from me at all.
Right.
Just this is a point of view of what? It's a point of view of all there is, whole, perfect, complete. And this is a view. Oh, that's what I'm looking at. I'm not going to worry about it.
Right.
Instead, I look at it and say, well, I'm not having that. If that comes into my world, I'm moving. We trip ourselves up with our determination to live as a two-legged animal, victim of all the stuff we're looking at and making up stuff about.
Right. Right.
And we get hooked, really hooked in politics.
Yep, you bet.
If that one wins, I'm going to leave the country. If that one wins, oh, then everything will be fine. And what we find out is neither one of them have anything to do with what's going on.
Right.
I run my own world, you know? I'm not a victim of somebody else's world. There's only one thing going on.
Right.
Infinite mind, that is an infinite intelligence. And remember, infinity never repeats itself, never duplicates itself, and is unceasing, eternal, all the time, and always new, always fresh. 5 seconds ago is gone. Right now is a new me, a new me, a new me.
Right.
And a new me and everything that includes. We simply are not reproductions of the minute before. That's gone. And what shows up now is new, brand new, no hangovers. If we saw that as we went along, we would not be dragging with us old stuff that gets in the way of new seeing.
Right. Right. Sarah Busey wrote, spirit equal energy equal solid energy. All is spirit.
Yeah. Whether it's solid or liquid or gas, it's all one thing going on.
Yep. Okay.
The last note that I wrote is pretty good for the summing up of what we've been talking about.
All right. Summing up. Existence, then, is the occurrence or evidence of consciousness and is ongoingly manifested in language called human existence.
Yeah, it's what's going on right now.
Yep.
Looking like a podcast.
Right.
Exactly. You know, there's nothing else going on. It's all mind manifest.
Right.
And if I leave it alone and let go of my belief that you can do anything as a person or place or a thing, you're home free.
Yep.
Peace and joy and power.
All right. Well, let's have some peace and joy and power all week and have a really good, if you're in the US, have a really good 4th of July celebration. And we'll see you guys next week. So Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central. Stay tuned. Have a good Independence Day, and we shall see you then.
Bye-bye.